Hey everybody, this is Matthew with Forging Your Legend, where we help people turn their toughest battles into their greatest legends. And today I want to talk to you about why symptoms flare up when you've been doing your work and things just happen to flare up and you're like, why is this happening? Why do I feel worse? So let's dive into this. First off, the obvious answer is you have to have been doing your practice. If you have quit doing it or you're doing it poorly, sometimes that's the reason symptoms flare up. However, assuming you're doing everything that you should be doing, or at least, giving your best effort, doesn't have to be perfect, then sometimes it has to do with triggers coming up. As you go along, you're going to find sometimes you actually have more triggers in the middle of the journey. And here's why. When you're starting out, especially if you were really, really low, sometimes you are more dissociated, more shut down, and you're just not as aware. As you heal, your energy level and your awareness level rises and you become aware of more things. And so more things can actually rise up and trigger you and affect you. So triggers are okay. Triggers are actually an opportunity. See them as such. But know that, triggers can impact your symptoms. And as you work through them, as you keep retraining on the triggers, they're not going to trigger symptoms anymore. And eventually they won't trigger anything anymore because they won't be triggers anymore. Now, another factor here is just that this process is very stop-start, ebb, flow. It's a little bit messy and erratic and weird. And not everything is going to make sense with it. People say sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I say it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 15 steps forward, 12 steps back, go sideways for 5 miles and get detoured, and then go in circles and then find your way out and all the way to healing. But it gets kind of weird. It gets kind of chaotic for some people, and that's okay. That's part of it. Every point in this journey that you walk yourself through, that you stay with yourself, is part of the retraining if you're doing it consciously. So you need to understand that your brain, as these old pathways of dysfunction and fear and all this stuff start to go away, sometimes it's not going to be just a steady downward trend. They'll have what's called extinction bursts, where they rise up again and then you have to bring down again. And the new pathways are being formed, and sometimes, the old pathway will jump up and it'll be bigger. But eventually, with enough repetition and intention and willpower, the new pathways will overtake the old. It's a simple reality. So stay encouraged about that. One final thing I want to mention in this is what we could call the spiral effect in healing. I did not come up with this idea, but it's really important that you are aware of how this works. And that is, you can think of healing like a spiral. It's going like this. So sometimes people will feel like, why am I going through the same stuff? I went through this 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, and they'll think, oh, I'm just looping back through the same stuff. They think it's a circle, but it's a spiral. So as you spiral up, you might be on the same axis horizontally. So like, it's hard to show you in a video, but let's see, if my finger's close to my face here, you spiral and then it's back close to my face, but it's at a higher level on that axis. You're actually experiencing a very different view of the same thing at a higher level in the spiral. You've come farther. And it's your job to recognize that it's not the same thing. There's a video on that I'll place in the comments, or in the description, I should say, about how things can't go back to how they were. But it's a spiral. You're going up and it's changing as you do. You're at a different perspective. But as this happens, you often see this effect of, first, the issues very much in you and it's unconscious and maybe even running your life. And then as you become more aware of it, sometimes it seems to get bigger because your awareness is right on it and you see everything that it is and what it's doing. Eventually that starts to ebb away in a good way. The problem starts to go. And through some ebbs and flows, ups and downs in the process, you eventually get rid of that You go up the spiral far enough that it's no longer in your awareness. It's no longer in your field. But sometimes you'll start to see it in other people, which is very interesting. It's especially common with a problem you used to have that you've pretty much dealt with and you're done with. When you're at that final stage of letting it go, you'll see it in other people. And that problem will ask you, are you still going to get triggered by me when you see it reflected in other people who were at the point of the journey you used to be at? And that's where it kind of gets interesting, because you can look and realize how far up the spiral you've gone and make that final decision to say, I'm done with this theme. I'm done with this lesson. I'm moving on. And so, in summary, when symptoms flare up, if you're doing the work, just know it's natural. It happens sometimes. Stay with the process and see if you can view it through that lens of the spiral effect, because it's a more conscious way to view the journey that you're on. So with that being said, I hope you found this very helpful. And if you did, feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, share, follow, etc. And feel free to reach out if you need help. My website is forgingyourlegend.com. I'd be honored to assist you on this path. Thanks so much, and make it an amazing, beautiful day, my friends.